mode, or are we just doing, oh, and got live streamed? By staying in this meeting, you consent to being live streamed. I've never seen this done. This is exciting. I guess Gladys's is, but I clicked OK very fast on it.
Yes, Gladys will charm you into anything. We all know that.
Yeah, or scare you away from show business. It depends on what mood she's in.
I love Gladys Simon's honesty, and she goes off the rails on herself. Like you think you're going to get a compliment, and before you're done, you're like, was that a compliment?
See, and I don't want to even make it about Gladys, but because I do love the best of Gladys. Yes. But I find that form of honesty almost too much. I think it's a gift. And sometimes, sometimes what I'm learning about my experience in my many, many years of comedy is sometimes people don't want you to be 100% honest. And I don't know if comedy is always 100% honest, or if the world's ready for it, especially if you look at what's going on right now. But sometimes, you know what? I really don't give a crap if you think I stink. And there are just some people here, who like, you could give me a couple of notes, but then sometimes I feel like there's people who feel like they have to give the negative notes. And you know what? And I think that costs some of the people in my life a lot of friendships. We always joke about, I don't want to make it about anybody in particular, but we always joke about how we're around successful people. And maybe some of those people don't call back as quickly because they don't want to be brought back to, like the old Goodfellas scene of, I don't shine shoes no more, Johnny, whatever it was, and I feel like there's that.
Yes.
So are you a very honest person?
I'm very honest, but I only give feedback when asked, because I don't care what anyone else is doing, but my values for my life are, I'll give you information if you ask for it. So
see, yeah. I can be too honest. Like I'm at a point now where I saw the Keanu Reeves quote, and it's an old quote, but it's fun to see it from Keanu Reeves, which is I'm at a point where I don't want to change anybody's mind on anything. If you want to say 2 + 2 = 5, good for you. That's the quote.
That's so great, because right now I'm telling you, that's the only way to survive.
Well, like I had a guy, and he's a Long Island comic. I actually, the odds of him finding me here are pretty low. I actually love the man. And I love the man from 20 years ago when I first met him. And God bless, I think some of it was he perceived me as being more successful in his mind nowadays, which is quite frankly, right now, I'm back to where my career was in 2005. I'm trying to relaunch my career. So anyway, but in the middle of all this, my career falling apart, he sends me a 7-minute video that's essentially a joke from the joke is Kim Jong-un is dead. And now I have him and I'm his agent was the joke. Okay. And any 15 seconds of this video was actually very funny. It would have been a great TikTok. The problem is it was a 7-minute video while I'm up on a Saturday night trying to learn how to program web pages in WordPress or whatever it is I'm doing. And so what I've learned is, or what I'm trying to do and I'm not good at is, if somebody asks me for an opinion, I find the things I like about it. Like, oh my gosh, Linda, if they say, Linda, what did you think of being on Linda's podcast? I don't know. I really like the pillows in the background. Now, sometimes it sounds like you're trying a little bit too much. Linda's hair looked great. Was Linda a great interview? No, but she had a great smile. And I'm joking and being silly here for a minute. But with this particular guy, you don't want to poop on anybody's dream. Like, actually, that's something I'm even more cognizant about once I finish this story, you'll understand. You don't want to poop on people's dreams. So I pointed out the things. Well, I didn't quite go so far as to say I liked the lighting, but I did. I liked the way the shot was framed. I liked the background, whatever it is. I gave 2 or 3 compliments, and he could tell this is a guy who knew them. He knew I was holding back. He knew the video stunk. I mean, let's be clear. He knew this video stunk. And he goes, Tom, feel like you're holding back. What else do you think? And I'm like, well, I also like your outfit. I like your tie. I mean, I like, but, and then he goes, but what do you think of the comedy? I'm like, listen, man, it's a great video. But it's 7 minutes long. It's this, and this. It would be any one piece would be great for this, and this, but it's not a good YouTube video anymore. I'm sorry, and I was pretty obnoxious about it. Then about a day later, he writes me back to tell me why I'm wrong.
Oh.
And so I get him on the phone and I'm talking to him in a voice not unlike this. And I'm like, listen, man, I want you to hear my voice. But I didn't like the video. I'm not telling you it's this, or this. But this is why our common friends think you're effing crazy, is because you're trying to get me to say mean stuff. And then I think what he wanted to do was to make me feel bad about my opinion and prove me wrong. And then he says, hey, Tom. He sends me a message, or I forget if it was on the phone. He must have called me, or he must have started messaging me, and I called him, and he goes, Tom, the video has 150 views on YouTube. And I mean, he's just like, he's trying to stick it to me. And I'm like, I didn't even want to give you my opinion. I have you unfollowed because you're so anti-Trump that you make me want to vote for him just to be mean to you. And I didn't say that out loud, but he's like, Tom, I got 150 views on YouTube, and I just knew that was a knife sticking. And I just go, oh my God, 150 views. Oh my God, are you gonna retire? What are you gonna do with all the money, Joe? Oh my God, Joe, you've made it. 150 people all watch the same video. Oh my God, I'm such an idiot. And here's the part that's wrong about it now. Then the guy writes me a big, long 6-page, 1-paragraph note on Facebook. Tom, you're a phony, and I will never talk to you again, and I'm never going to work with you again. And honestly, the guy's always out in the comedy clubs in Let's Make It, New Jersey, so that way I'm being fake about it. And it's sad because going way back, I genuinely liked the guy 15 years ago when I knew him well. And two, there's no benefit to walking into a room and having somebody walk to the other side of it and having the temperature drop. So this is a long 13-minute answer to say that, you know what, there's a thin line between great honesty and just being a jerk. Now, I probably could have just said, after this guy said I didn't want your opinion, I probably could have just said, you're right, I'm wrong. You know what? Next time, just don't ask me. Now it took me about 1.5 years to get to that perspective. That's 1.5 years more therapy for me to say, you know what, Joe, God, you're right. The video was ingenious. You're right, I'm wrong. 150 views. Oh my gosh, you're right, I'm wrong. And then walk away and not take his calls. These phones now, they have blocking buttons. You don't have to take the crazy, but I take the crazy. But I will say this, what I've learned, and I'm trying to tell some friends in life, is, you know what? The first thing you say when you see someone doesn't have to be, Linda, I remember when you were a drunk sorority girl back in the 90s. You don't have to say that. At a certain, and when someone gives an act, you know what, at this point, listen, if they're working in the places you and I work, they know they suck. You don't have to tell them why. I mean, and I think criticism has to be useful, or it's just better. And honestly, even with criticism lately, is I stopped giving comedians taglines. I stopped giving my opinion because I found at a certain point, even my emotionally, and it might be that I'm just that bad at giving criticism, or that bad at giving ideas, but
I don't think so.
I don't know. Like, I mean, and I have friends, I have very good friends who are like, I don't want your opinion. I just want you to listen. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just do that. Fine. You call me when, I don't know, the traffic court judge gets angry at you or whatever. Like I have a friend who's talking to me about, how do I keep it vague for fear he finds it? But he's talking about buying a new car and he really wants a battery powered car, but he wants an old one. And I'm like, I don't know, man, your model isn't a great car. And he's like, oh, I just want you to listen to my ideas. I'm like, all right, well, don't ask me. And and a real friend just helps you push when it's time to push. So I don't know, as I get older, maybe this is being in a new age bracket. Maybe this is being more well-adjusted, but at a certain point, I just stopped giving criticism. And I've also stopped asking for it in certain cases because, quite frankly, I don't want to hear it. At a certain point, you know what? I can tell. I mean, now in some cases I need it. Like I got in trouble for working in a politically correct environment, and I don't even know if it was political. Yeah, it was a politically correct environment, and I was doing and this is the honest to goodness truth, a step above Good Morning America morning television jokes. And you would have thought from just reading one of the emails, that I had whipped my wiener out in front of a room full of children. Like that's how offended the person was. And I'll tell you the core joke that got people offended was there were 4 women in the back of the room of, women in their 60s or 70s and whatever. Mm-hmm. And I called them the Golden Girls.
That's a compliment.
Well, and it is, and it is. And it's a backhanded compliment. But one of the women stands up, pretends to be offended for a second. And she says, come over here with the microphone. I walk over. And she says, you may think we look like the Golden Girls, but we are, and we all live together. Crowd goes nuts. Now, Rose, Dorothy, and Blanche were laughing their asses off. There was a 4th woman who was 96. And she did not appreciate being Sophia in this scenario. And she goes, why is that? And then her friend, sticking it to her, says, and that's, Elaine, and she's 96. And I make the Sophia joke, crowd claps, and she goes, why is it a big deal? I'm 96. And you could just tell I'm now the crowd's no longer on my side. I'm going into the black hole just a bit. And I'm like, hey, lady, it's okay. Listen, I can't get my own butt off the sofa at 40. I'm just saying you're inspiring. And I know you're a party. You're out and about, and you brought your own stripper pole, which was her cane. And I swear that joke has worked every time in morning television. Okay, every time. And and it did not get the laugh. And that's actually that more so than the complaint letter I'm about to tell you about. The not getting the laugh and having the wisdom to not hear the laugh is what made me say, okay, got to drop that. But then I got a very lengthy complaint letter at the venue I was working at. And it was a kid show. Like, honestly, they would have been happier if I did a magic trip, made a balloon animal, and I was not the right pairing for that particular night, which breaks my heart because I love the venue. And, and just sticking on the line of complaints. And then someone complained on behalf of the Golden Girls. And you know how I know the Golden Girls didn't complain? Because they were old. No way they were using a computer. But there you go. By the way, is anybody in the room? How many people do we have watching live? Because
we never look, because I'm a person that's in the moment. And I also can't multitask because I got hit by a drunk driver. I have brain trauma. I can be in this moment with you. If they're looking and they're chatting, they know we'll get back to them later.
Oh, well, then you'll have to send me the link because I want to promote my podcast, the Tom Kelly Show podcast. And I'll tell you why, because it kind of fits in here. If there's anybody here who I am Tom Kelly Show on Instagram, don't look for the views now. No, you look at me. Don't even. I don't care. I just wanted to get to this part of the interview, which is if you listen to my new podcast, Tom Kelly Show, and I'm Tom Kelly Show on TikTok. I'm trying to do jokes there, jokey jokes there. I'm Tom Kelly Show on Instagram, where I'm just trying to get lucky there. And I'm Tom Kelly Show on Facebook. And I'm actually at this point, never mind the politics. They made the fan page so complicated that I don't even know how to broadcast or talk to people there anymore. It's just too many buttons. And I don't think it works with Mac Safari, which is like, I don't want to turn on a new web browser just for Facebook. I don't care that much. Anyway, and flashing forward through it, the Tom Kelly Show podcast, which if you don't have a podcast app, you can get conveniently at podcast.tomkellyshow.com, or just go to tomkellyshow.com and hit the podcast button. But over the year, I've gone from being stand-up comic to a little bit of self-help comic. My perspective changed once I lost all the stages, and especially when I lost all the money.
During the pandemic, are you referring?
Yeah, my career, I was on the, and listen, we talk about our friend Gladys. I've known Gladys off and on since 1998.
Wow.
And it probably took to 2016 for me to start making money where I felt like I was getting ahead. I was always even, but I was finally getting ahead, saving up for that house, saving up for that apartment. Because, and that's the other thing that kills me living in New York. And I really should just buy a house somewhere else and let the price go up there. But the entry point to get in New York is so high, and our work is so fickle. I won the pandemic in the short run. I had no expenses, no kids, no this, no that. My income went from blank $100,000 a year to pretty much nothing. And I only dropped those numbers because a lot of that work for me has not come back. It's given people chances to move on, try other ideas. There's all these variants and the flu season coming up. So a lot of the TV shows I worked at don't want a comedian. And frankly, I let my hair go gray. There's this, there's that. I was doing very, very well with private gigs that were just being thrown to me by other people who were busy with private gigs. I was doubling my money every Friday or Saturday, taking one other guy's leftovers on private charity work. And I was really firmly entering the sellout stage of my career, where at this point I will sell out to the first and lowest bidder. By the way, that's how I wound up on this podcast at 10 a.m. Now, going somewhere. So I'm trying to do self-help lessons because I am very consciously trying to be funny and trying to grow. And the Tom Kelly Show podcast is a lot of me rambling about life lessons, and a lot of, and I actually got very mad at Gladys, because honestly, the Zoom room doesn't always do it for me anymore. It's, I have to be in a certain spot, even though it's at home. I have to give up other work that night, or you don't, and I'm traveling a lot between here and my parents' house, where it's just hard to commit to being in one spot for it. And then Gladys made a little remark during my set about, and I listened to your podcast and it's a snooze fest. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. I don't want your fucking opinion. Honestly, I'm here because, whatever, because I like you and I'm fond of you. And now you're telling a room full of people a project that's close to my heart sucks. Nobody asked for your fucking opinion. And I think that's something, we all need to learn in life. Is at the end of the day, I'm giving my podcast with opinions, but I'm very gentle about giving my opinions to real people, or I'm trying to be. I'm actually not, but I'm trying to be, because at the end of the day, and I'm sorry to swear,
I was in the Army.
Yeah, well, but that's a great thing though, is nobody asked for your effing opinion. We should almost, like, it's funny, on my refrigerator over there, I have a wall of memes. I got a Henry David Thoreau quote: "Go confidently in the direction of your dreams." Another one: "Never, never, never give up." This is your world. Shape it or someone else will. Do something today that your future self will be thankful for. And under it should be another one that says, "Nobody asked for your effing opinion."
Wow. Yeah. It's a waste of time unless they ask. And I make them ask twice. Like, if I tell you,
and I'm going to be honest, even when they ask for your opinion, what they're really asking for is compliments.
That's it. That's so true. Oh my gosh.
especially at the lower level comedian stage. And right now I'm there too. So I'm not knocking anybody.
I'm there.
But if you're starting if you're in a room full of step above open micers, if you're in a room full of people who also have a day job and they ask for your opinion, at the end of the day, they want the list of things that are working. And that's actually useful because then they could double down on it. Unless they're really, I have also come to realize is a great quote that I should put on that wall and on my phone. And I think I'm the one who came up with this. So America, get your pen and paper. Tom Kelly's about to say something really smart. Telling an asshole they're an asshole doesn't make the asshole realize they are an asshole. It just makes them angry.
Yes. My dad said, never make an asshole mad.
Yeah, because you're not going to fix him. Like there's nobody who went to somebody who was a complete and total poop head and said, hey, you are a complete and total poop head. And they go, you're right. I'm going to start doing better.
I've gone to open mics and been put on shows for 7 years. And I was chasing my persona, which is like chasing your tail if you're a dog. And you know how I found my persona?
How?
Talking to homeless strangers. I go up to them and say, I do comedy. When you look at me, what do you think? What do you see? What don't you like about me? What do you want me to say if I were on stage right now? And that's how I developed my persona, not in a comedy club.
Actually, and it's funny, you just hit something very powerful there that I've thought about doing with my career. Is what I don't think everybody who does stand-up should be a stand-up.
I agree.
Now, and I mean that in a good way. I think stand-up can be a gift and a job skill and something that builds up certain skills that you take into other careers. And I love that you're doing charity.
Thank you. It's a passion. I was in the military 3 years. Do you know how many entertainers came on our post? 0. And so
you were in Germany during Vietnam. There were other places to go. Bob Hope had other places on the schedule.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So it's a passion to work with the military and veterans.
Now you mentioned your brain injury. Did comedy help you with your brain injury?
Yes, because when I first started comedy and I'd go on stage, all the comedians in Portland, Oregon, I live in the other Portland, the comedians would go on a smoke break. If I
Wait, are you in Portland, Maine, or are you in
Portland, Oregon? It was where I start. Well, I'm from Portland, Oregon, and now I live in Vegas.
Okay, I had that right. Okay, I got you. Yeah. So you're in that other Portland. Got it.
Yeah. And
you're in that other Vegas.
I used to get so depressed because I couldn't remember. And I'd take up notes, and nobody wants you taking up notes, but I needed notes. And then finally, at some point, like a year ago, I could start remembering the stuff I'm supposed to say.
It's funny. I always probably have needed notes. And if I'm getting anything useful out of your podcast right now, I'm actually going to write it down so I don't forget, is the advice I would give you back then that I give myself now is come up with a joke about bringing notes on stage.
That's a great idea.
By the way, for those of you listening to the podcast, nothing more entertaining than listening to Tom Kelly put pen to paper.
This is so unlike any other interview I've ever done.
Well, I'm no Sinbad. I've looked through your channel. I'm no Sinbad, not for a lack of trying on my part.
Nobody has seen him since. I don't have him in my house. I promise, folks.
Ha! So hang on, bringing notes on stage. So tell me more about you, or it's your interview. We've done about 20 minutes now. You tell me, are there any other questions you have for me or anything I should be asking you?
After I want to ask you a question and you can ask me questions, but I want to know, you said something before we went live about doing your podcast with somebody unusual that you don't really know or something. What was that comment you made? Because that's an interesting point. You know, if I was going to do a professional interview, I would touch on that.
So it's funny you say that. The Tom Kelly Show podcast, for the 3 people still listening 25 minutes into this, I really want to go to Facebook to see who the hell is here. Wait, I know you want to be in the moment. You stay in the moment. I don't want you distracted. I'm going to look.
Probably nobody. That's so depressing. That's another reason
but it
I
is,
don't.
and it is, and that's a great. So it's Linda. So if I look up for you, it's Linda. Is it on your Facebook page right now?
Yes.
View profile.
Linda Martin.
And hang on, is it showing you going live? Yeah, there we are. And great news. Oh, look at it. We look good. I'm waving to myself. Hang on. And great. Not to brag, but Valerie is watching.
Valerie. Oh, I love Valerie.
Oh my gosh. And you shared some of my stuff. Oh my God. I'm so glad. Look at you. Thank you for posting all these things.
And I'm going to send this stuff to a bunch of military companies and organizations. So they're going to find out about you.
So you asked me a great question. And then the nice thing about nobody watching at this point is I like, and that's one of my addictions, if we're being real. My addiction is pandering to the live audience. Wow. And I've made a good career out of it. I made a great career out of it. So to your point about not bringing notes on stage, that's what the comedy clubs want. To maybe Gladys's and many other great comedy teachers' opinions, do less crowd work, do more jokes, and do your act. That's how you're going to get on Letterman and Comedy Central and Colbert. And why am I only naming CBS and Viacom companies? But you get what I'm saying. So my feeling is I got lucky breaking the rules and work found me. I'm good at being in the moment. So the Tom Kelly Show podcast started as a wedding podcast with my friend Mikey Russo, who's a celebrity wedding planner. And it was going to be not the Tom Kelly Show podcast, but we had a name for it. We actually had 20 different names for it. It was I Hate Weddings, the podcast, and it was I Heart Weddings, the podcast. Then it became The Snide. And that's how you know a project is doomed, when you rename it 3 or 4 times. So gets crazier. I now started a podcast with, okay, I need a sidekick. And we'll do a 1-hour podcast every week. And what you're realizing is, Linda, is, and I don't say this as an insult, but the audience for podcasting and live streaming is so fragmented that right now you have me, a once successful entertainer, podcasting with you for an audience of 1. Now we need 2 people to entertain 1 person. That's how it used to be, the other way around. 1 person would entertain 100 or 1,000, or 2 people would entertain 1,000. But there's so many darned podcasts out there and so many darn streams. And if I wanted to go live on Instagram right now, and maybe I will, you know, no, but it's a button. But again, it's and any idiot can do this now. So anyway, I've been focusing on what can you get out of it, even if you're not getting famous anymore. So stage 1 was I was getting together with friends. And then I have a friend, a woman you should follow, Jeanette Barber. She's about your age, if I'm being honest, maybe a little bit younger. She's
I'm 70.
Okay, so she's a year or 2 younger. She was Rosie O'Donnell's head writer, and she is my mentor in life. I love her. And then the one thing you get out of this stuff, Linda, is you wonder, what kind of practice are you getting out of this? You know, and that's actually a crazy thought, is what kind, you know what, I'm going to turn on the TikTok live for fun. I don't think anybody will come in, but let's just turn on but this is the real thing. Like, listen, doing Gladys's open mic, whatever you want to call it, you know, we're doing any open mic. Doing an open mic is not going to Doing an open mic is not going to get you discovered. Here we go. Hang on. I'm going to make a title, guest on a podcast. Let's see what happens.
Do you still warm up the audience for AGT?
No, and I haven't done that for 5 or 6 years. I did it when it was in New York, and I loved it when it was in New York. But I have not done the warm up for America's Got Talent since Howard Stern was on it. And I almost feel bad even putting that on my resume right now. And that's a funny one when you get into two, is wondering, are you at a spot where what's the right way to say this? Are we all in spots right now where even your resume just feels kind of forever ago? Like, imagine, here we go. I got John Mann, B. Smith. Oh my God, people are actually coming into my live. So for my friends coming into my TikTok live, and I've never had anybody come in before, start hitting likes, give me some points, whatever that is. And what I'm doing right now is I'm on a podcast with my friend Linda Smith. And we're not being funny. We're just being real. So if you don't mind, guys, I'm going to be real, and I'll repeat whatever questions Linda asks me. So Linda asked me, Tom, do you still work for America's Got Talent? And we were talking about working at The View and all these other shows. And right now I am not working. I was doing Zoom warm up at a TV show called Tamron Hall. Wow. And without getting too into it, I did Zoom warm up all through the pandemic. And I kind of had a handshake that I was going to be on the show that I was going to be on the show this year. And then suddenly 2 weeks before the season, after I turned down other work, it became, no, Tom, you're not on the show this year. Somebody called me up and said, Tom, we're going in another direction. And I was shattered. I bought a new car. People, I bought a new car. I've never bought a new car before in my life. And then they dropped this bomb on me, and it's just like, and you're just sitting there like, so I don't know what to do. So like my life was shattered. And then you get into right now to get new work. It's easier to get work when you have work as a comedian. So when I was the warm-up comedian at The View, people would hire me for things for that. And there's a very nice and funny woman there now. So I've been replaced. It took forever to replace me, but I was replaced. And then you go into other shows. America's Got Talent. I put that on my resume, but I haven't done that in 5 years. And the hard part is, how do you define yourself without being defined? How do you how do you define yourself when it's the labels you're not putting on yourself? And that's a really hard thing to do. Like in stand-up comedy, I'm hitting a point where I don't want to know. I don't want to know where, I'd rather you just say, like, when you're a new comedian, they'll put you up and say, hey, you've seen him on Comedy Central. They'll say, hey, you've seen him on The View. And I'm like, you know what? Just say you've seen him on television. Because even too, people then judge you on the credits. They judge you on the credits. Like I have a couple of comedy clubs out on Long Island have asked me to stop saying that you've seen him on The View and Good Morning America, because they think, oh, he's going to go be liberal and mean and make fun of Donald Trump. And I am going to make fun of Donald Trump, but I'm going to make fun of him because I want to, not because I was there. And in fact, I did a show Say Something Funny. So I'm reading some of the comments. Say Something Funny. So true story, Austin, I did a show in New Jersey, and I'll do an easy joke about Eric Trump. Like when the crowd's bad, I have these great rebound lines. So joke number one will be, hey man, hey, the joke will be, Tom Kelly, hey, you're looking at me like Eric Trump at a spelling bee. And then I'll do another joke and it'll be, hey, you're looking at me like Hunter Biden checking his emails. And usually you get a laugh on each one. I swear the person who can hear me is laughing, Austin. Now, I go and do that, right? And the person, I go and do that. And the person, okay, Austin said he laughed. Now, but here's what's happened, Austin, and here's what happened, Linda, is the audience starts chanting, F Joe Biden.
Whoa.
I was starting a riot and I didn't mean to. I may make that a TikTok, Austin. I don't know if you think that's a good idea, but I may make that a TikTok. And I'm just trying to find a way to condense it to 30 seconds. Yeah. And then there were other people yelling out, let's go, Brandon. And then what happened was, Melanie, was after I made that joke, anything I said was getting pulled into a this way, that way sort of a thing. And I say this to my TikTok audience and my friend Linda, which is there are two types of comedians out there. There are social change comedians. There are comedians like Joy Behar, who's trying to change the world, Whoopi Goldberg, who's making the world a better place, or going off the view, Jon Stewart, Dave Chappelle. Actually, I even think the guy Gutfield on Fox is very going, he's a right-leaning comedian trying to change the world. I'm not a comedian trying to change the world. I am the other type of comedian. I'm the comedian who just wants a paycheck. And that's who I am, ladies and gentlemen. That's who I am, Melanie. That's who I am, Austin, who just started following me. I just want a fucking paycheck. That's what I want. And there I am.
Where are you going to go with your, what is your plan from here? And how do you want to leave the world better off? Because you have that podcast of turning lemons into lemonade.
So Linda's asking me, and my friends, I don't know, let me try turning. Can you guys hear Linda? Actually, you guys could help me do something here. Linda, could you talk for a minute? Linda, ask me your question one more time, and then Melanie and maybe Hunter and whoever else is in the room could tell me if you can hear. Talk to me for a second, Melanie, Linda.
Do you ever feel like it's not your podcast? Just kidding. So how do you plan on making this world a better place in the rest of your life?
Oh, they hear you. Good. Okay. Yeah. And keep going. Keep going.
And what is it that you want to do to recreate yourself?
So for those of you who are watching my TikTok is very jokey. And for Linda saying a little sarcastic remark about, am I now dominating her podcast? I am, because you only have one viewer. So yeah, I am taking over. I have 7 on my TikTok. You have 1. I outweighed you. Now, and by the way, Lisa Wright Dover is a military wife of 30 years. So we're glad to have my friend Lisa Wright Dover. And you're getting clapped for, Lisa, by Linda. Lisa, Lisa. Now, you and I having fun here. Okay. Health insurance just came in. So you asked, how am
I really don't care what people's credits are. Yours are amazing. But I care about the human. How is life treating you?
No, but you know what it is? You do and you don't. You do and you don't. Because I looked at who's on your podcast. You got Sinbad on your YouTube channel. And you all, for friends of mine, Sinbad's on your channel. Who else was on your channel?
Tommy Chong.
There you go. So, I mean, you care because you hope the big celebrities pull people in and then they follow you. Like, I should be trying to duet with somebody who has more followers than me on TikTok right now, but I'd rather talk to you. And the point of what I'm saying is my podcast, Tom Kelly Show podcast, is about me trying to improve my life. I actually don't have a 5-year vision for my life anymore. I thought when I was 20, I'd be dead by 30. Maybe I would be like really famous at 27 and die. I really believe that.
Wow.
I really did. Then I turned 30. I didn't die. I'm alive. Then I said, all right, I'll make it to 35. And I had a friend, by the time I had a good friend of mine die of a heart attack at 38. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just keep chasing my dreams. It's funny that my health insurance just called me because I'm very well insured because I've had this fear of dying and leaving my brother alone to take care of my mother. So I'm actually worth, ladies and gentlemen, if I die, I am worth 500 grand.
Wow.
And I'm worth twice that if I die in an accident. So I've actually told my brother, if I die of a heart attack, take my body, throw it down the staircase and make it look like an accident, because that way he's got extra money to take care of mom. And listen, to any of those young girls looking at me on the TikTok right now, as I go down to 3 or 4 viewers, I say to you this, you beautiful ladies, if you marry me, that $1 million could be for you. Kill me during sex. Kill me during sex, people. Kill me during the sex and just pretend I fell off the bed. I don't know. So the Tom Kelly Show podcast, long roundabout way of answering your question, is it's about personal growth and growing not just on a comedy level, but also growing as a stand-up and growing as a person. Because you know what? Honestly, I have never really had a girlfriend at age 45. I mean, I've had a couple. I've had a few. I've had women who broke my heart, but I've never had a real girlfriend. In fact, my comedy joke is I am damaged goods for not being damaged goods.
Oh my gosh, you've never had a girlfriend?
I have. I mean, I've had women I was, yeah. I mean, like there's two girls that got away. Well, one girl who got away and one girl who ran. One girl who ran away. Yeah. So I would say there was one girl who I loved. Oh my gosh. Wait, do you want to try? There's somebody named Haza Capone who wants to join. Do you want to try this?
I don't know why not. I don't
No,
see.
and then he ran away. The button just went away. Never mind. Sorry, Hayes. So back to me. And I'm going to stop looking at the comments because I see why you hate them. No, I do see this. But this is my problem. Have you noticed my energy has changed since I turned on the TikTok? But I also have yet to finish a sentence. So what question? So the Tom Kelly Show podcast is every week. At TomKellyShow.com, without a live audience, find people who help make me better. I try to find people taking their 2020 lemons and making 2022 lemonade. And listen, for as much as I'm mad about losing money in 2021, I've had a couple of great experiences. I mean, I have a bunch of fans on my TikTok here who I never would have met, who saw me at Tamron Hall, who saw me at this, saw me at that. I have created a podcast, and I hope there are people listening, but they're not writing me enough letters. Have you listened to the podcast, Linda?
No, yes, I listened to 2 clips about an hour before I came on.
That doesn't count as a listener. By the way, look at me.
And I rang the bell.
Wait, hang on. You what? Wait, can you hear this? By the way, TikTok friends, can you hear this? Oh my God, Devin just wrote me a note. Can you talk about this for a second? Devin Bowen just wrote me a note. You have been reported for being so dang cute. So Devin, if you're enjoying talking so much, hit the hearts, hit the likes, and send me a rose. I think you could send roses on this thing. Send me a rose, send me a flower, send me one of them gifts. I think that gets me bumped up. I don't know what that means, but it gets me bumped up in the rankings. So yeah, keep hitting the likes because I need to get up to, look, I'm at 38 likes. I need to get up to 40,000 likes. So start hitting tap on that, or I'm going to drop this because I think you're killing me in the damn algorithm. So yeah, and this is the problem with comedy is, so to your point before, I'm trying to get back to doing stuff. Yeah. And you guys all keep tapping that damn thing. I will turn this off when I see the little party signs going away. So, and I'll show you what I'm looking at. I'm on a podcast with somebody else. I've decided to dominate the podcast, Devin. Yeah. Lisa wrote that. Yeah. Send me lots of likes, Mary Smith. Yeah. And look, people are coming in. Look, but this is what I'm doing. I'm on a podcast. The podcast is just kind of at this point turning into a crazy thing. And I think we're just having a real conversation. So you guys keep hitting likes. And that's the thing, though. Instead of telling you real, like what I'm trying to do on the podcast is, and I could show you guys, I can't show you because you're live, but I created this little in-house studio and I'm trying to entertain people without pandering to being in the moment. Lisa and Devin, thank you for hitting those likes. Thank you. Get me up to 1,000. I'm at 522 right now. Keep going. Come on, keep going. But there you go. I'm not now, but that's what TikTok does to you. It makes you perform for TikTok. Yeah. It doesn't make you perform for being a good person. It doesn't make you perform for being an entertainer. So my challenge is Linda, who I'm talking to, is a funny comedian who does a lot of open mic nights. And the reason why why do an open mic night? Why do a podcast? What if doing all this entertaining doesn't make me money? And it can make you skills, though. Like maybe, and I'm failing to do it right now with you, but one of the skills is learning how to focus without begging Linda and Lisa and Devin to keep hitting likes until I hit 1,000, maybe 2,000 now. Yeah, it sounds crazy, but that's the problem. Or even TikTok is changing comedy. Instead of doing working for a 45-minute comedy special, I'm now doing 15-second videos to get caught in the algorithm and hope I go viral. And the annoying thing about my TikTok is I've produced some videos I care about. The one video that's going viral right now is a joke I made about my college 20 years ago. I went to college in Connecticut. You ever hear of Yale?
Yes.
Well, I went to school right down the block from there, Quinnipiac University. Quinnipiac is Native American for douchebag near the mountain. Are you guys getting the drum beats too? I just need to know that. Lisa, yes, tell me, are you getting the drum beats? Give me a yes or no on that. Yeah, and just keep hitting the likes, people, because look at this. The numbers are going up. We're up to now 3-4 people in the room. So the moral of the story, friends, is, I'm trying to do this podcast because I do feel there is, and I think this is a good note to end on because I know you got to get going. But I've always felt there's something big in me. I do have a hit in me that has not come out yet, that there's more to Tom Kelly than just performing live before TV shows. And when you talk about what do you want to be remembered by, I don't want to be remembered just for being the guy at The View. I don't want to be remembered for being just the guy at Tamron Hall virtually. I want to be more than the guy. And even though Radio City meant something as a kid from Brooklyn, I want to be more than the guy who did 20 shows at Radio City for a TV show that is on NBC every summer. I want to be remembered for the making people's lives better. Now, in a dream world, I would love to have 1,000 people at my funeral, 10,000 people at my funeral. I'd love to have the tributes Norm Macdonald had, blah, blah, blah. The reality is that's popularity. Is that making a difference? And, and I tell the story that when Rosie O'Donnell ended in 2002, I was even my friend who I talk about on my podcast a lot, my friend Father Lou, who was a Catholic priest. He would always say, "Hey, that's Tom Kelly. He's working for Rosie McDonald, the great Italian Catholic priest." He would say, "Hey, that's Tom Kelly. He works for Rosie McDonald." And the joke would be I would use that as my pickup line at bars. Though that one never worked. Okay. And then that got ripped away. And even right now, Tom Kelly, he used to be the comedian at Good Morning America. And right now that got ripped away. Having Good Morning America on your resume or any TV show on your resume kind of buys forgiveness when someone's offended by your jokes. If that makes sense, like suddenly now, right now, I mean, if you want to be real, who the fudge is Tom Kelly? Tom Kelly's doing a Zoom with 2 people on TikTok and 2 people on Facebook Live with a 70-year-old 2-year Army veteran in Vegas. Or are we right now? How do you define yourself? Are we in this moment 2 great entertainers bringing something smart? Are we 2 great entertainers bringing something smart to TikTok? Like right now, I'm going to say this for real. I follow Ashley. Thank you for coming in. Ashley Nicole DeGru. I don't have my reading glasses on. By the way, yeah, I need reading glasses and I'm on TikTok right now.
Do you want to borrow mine?
Oh my gosh, I desperately need them. But for real, like, have you seen a movie? Here's a movie we should all watch. It's a snoozer. But everybody should watch it. Ashley, I hope you haven't gone yet. By the way, Lisa and Devin, thank you for still hitting the hearts. Keep getting me going, man. Keep getting me going, because I think that does matter if I'm going to keep doing these lives on the TikTok, as my grandfather would have called it. Hello, Chris Beckman. Oh, Chris Beckman. Hello. So anyway, my thing right now is, as we hit the hearts and boost me up here, is there's a movie, Don Juan DeMarco. It stars Johnny Depp and Marlon Brando at the end of his life, and Faye Dunaway as Marlon Brando's wife. And the premise of the movie is Marlon Brando is a shrink in Creedmoor Psychiatric in Queens. And Johnny Depp comes in and thinking he is Don Juan DeMarco, the most romantic man in South America, blah, 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 blah. And Johnny Depp and whoever the person is so convincing that you can't tell if he's really Don Juan DeMarco or just Vinny from Queens, which is what it says on his driver's license. And the premise of the movie is, if you believe you're Don Juan DeMarco, you can get Don Juan DeMarco types of things. And what's better, just being Vinny from Queens and admitting the reality of Vinny had a mom who beats him and Vinny had a girlfriend who dumped him and this, that, and the other thing? Or do we need to get into the characters of our lives? And I do think that's something I'm working on. I mean, it's very Oprah and The Secret, but at a certain point, believing and being conscious, like Ashley's saying it. Actually, Ashley here is putting into words what I've been trying to. Consciousness creates reality. So how do I create a consciousness where I attract my tall, athletic supermodel women that I tend to fall for? How do I create a consciousness where I'm more than just the warm-up guy, and more than just an open mic comedian, but a great comedian? And maybe the secret to all of that is, even when it's not working, to a certain degree, have the confidence and kindness to believe it's working. Like maybe I may not be David Letterman, and maybe and some of it too is stripping the labels from this stuff and getting into, I believe I'm a great comedian, even if there's only 3 people hitting hearts in the TikTok and 1 person on the Zoom meeting.
That's right. That's what I do. I don't look at who's watching. I don't care who views it later. If they like, some people write me and tell me that my videos really help their life, I'm doing it because I like to be one-on-one. And if other people enjoy it, that's a bonus.
So I'll tell you one that made my life, and a woman who made my life. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for hitting those likes, Ashley. I'm sure everybody else's thumbs broke, but Ashley, thank you.
Are they saying that they hate me?
No, quite the opposite. I think Ashley is saying that she loves our podcast and our conversation right now. Ashley is saying consciousness creates reality, and she says we're not famous ... yet. But I think you were just touching something powerful. Very powerful. Oh, and Ashley just said there's a bit of a delay. She does not hate you. She goes, no! ! I love her. And then she says, I love this. And I think that's a big this. And I think you just said something powerful too. It's about connection. And the story I'll tell you on after I really leave here is I'm doing this podcast, and the numbers have been about 200 listeners per episode. And the hard part for podcast is, like, right now, I am addicted to Ashley hitting hearts on my TikTok live. I am. As a comedian, it brings something out of me. And what I'm trying to do is to find this level of energy and do it when I take the phone and do that and cover it up. Or better than that, is there also a side of Tom Kelly that's a great entertainer when I can't get Ashley's immediate thoughts, and it's about practice. And then the one thing I got out of the podcast was Marianne Stell Magic. May she be a fan of yours as she is mine, and may she be as supportive a friend as she is to me, because she has become a friend. And I actually hate saying that, kind of weird, kind of gross, whatever, but maybe it isn't. Because what happened was, because we're in this world where I'm doing a TikTok live for one woman named Ashley and doing a podcast for you and your friend Vanessa, that maybe Valerie. But okay, so me, you, and Valerie. Let's see if Valerie's still there even. No, it looks like this podcast has been so long, Valerie has died. Valerie. Oh, Helene Witt, who I have something nice to say about. We'll talk about.
I told her you said something nice before she came on to Gladys's.
Okay, hold on, Elaine Witt. My thought for you right now is, maybe right now, with Marianne was a nurse who was dealing with the early waves of COVID. And I didn't know this story. Marianne listens to my podcast. Marianne showed up at one of my comedy shows, laughed so loud, she got me booked again at Governor's on Long Island. And actually, I need somebody to get me booked there again. If you got time, go write a nice review about Governors and say, I want to see Tom Kelly again. Also, Marianne called a comedy club in New Jersey, got me booked there again. Boom. And she came to the show in New Jersey. And I said, Marianne, why are you doing this? And she told me this beautiful story on my Tom Kelly Show podcast, available at on all your favorite podcast apps and at podcast.tomkellyshow.com. And Marianne said to me, Tom, honestly, I was working late nights as a nurse, going home at 1 a.m, and I would listen to your podcast once a week, and it made me feel like I was connected to somebody. And to think that I could help a nurse during the earliest and scariest days of COVID in the Northeast. Now, there's part of me that thinks I want to be a great comedian. And then there's another part of me that thinks that maybe I'll just be a Catholic priest one day or something like that. Really trying to accept that my spirituality goes hot and cold. I like the work. I like the charity work that priests and nuns do.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And by the way, everybody just stopped hitting hearts on me talking about the church. But yeah. So back to you.
Back to Helene Witt.
But there you go. So I'm trying to do God's work. So another guest I had on my Tom Kelly Show podcast was Joe Firestone, a comedian who has a Comedy Central special. She's been in a lot of Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon bits. And she did this whole special about doing kind of what Gladys's Zoom does, where she was teaching senior citizens, where she was talking to senior citizens and teaching senior citizens how to do stand-up comedy. And Helene Witt, I see her there and I'm like, this woman doesn't need a class. I've met this woman at Gladys's, and I met that woman through Joy Behar on Donald Trump's election night. And I remember sharing that icky moment of, and I don't want to knock Trump. There are things I liked about him. He didn't start failing for me until the last 2 years. For me.
I agree. Me too.
For me.
Hashtag me too.
Hashtag, well, don't you see? And that's one where, thank God there's so few viewers, you and I would be canceled for that one, applying that hashtag to that. But like with Trump on election night, I was in a room full of powerful women. The View did a live election special. I think more people watched this TikTok than that special. And it was like being the fiddler on the Titanic. Here I am in a room full of powerful women, and and suddenly this sure thing Hillary election starts going further and further and further the other way. And there was a sadness to it, even if you voted for Trump. There was a sadness to it because it was a lot of women who saw in Hillary Clinton a woman like them.
Yes.
And saw their dreams on the line, and their dreams got squashed. So I didn't feel good that night in being there that night. Even though, and I actually did vote for Hillary, but I also knew she wasn't going to win. I had a weird feeling about that and got in trouble on that. So anyway, Helene Witt shared that moment with me, and I was delighted to see her in a special on Peacock, and more delighted to talk about her on my Tom Kelly Show podcast. Ashley is telling people in the room to hit like for me, that more people need to hear this. And maybe I should try. See, and this is my problem right now, is I'm trying to find the very different Tom Kellys. And Ashley, you might be able to help me out with this. And anybody else in the room, if you're hitting like, and I don't think there's that many people there right now. And that's the problem with comedy. No, and who I am right now is there's 2 or 3 very different Tom Kellys. There's Tom Kelly, who's a good son to his mother and father. There's Tom Kelly, who was a great grandson to his grandparents. I was great with a capital G, not great with a lowercase g. And there was Tom Kelly, who was good to a Catholic priest. And then there's Tom Kelly, who's funny, opening for other people. And then there's Tom Kelly, who wants to be funny, but also wants to break out of this depression, and wants to be real and wants to help people. So
nice.
There you go.
I love it. So the show you're talking about is Good Timing. It started at the Greenwich House for seniors. And Helene Witt invited me to be in the class. I'm in the class, but I stepped out due to my health, and I'm in Vegas, so I don't get to be a part of the show for those reasons. So I'm one of the people, one of the old people in the class.
Wait, so if you're in Joe's class, I want you to do me a favor, listen to the show. And if you like it, tell Joe you heard her. I think you're going to love that interview with Joe.
I'll listen to the podcast of you and Joe.
Yeah. So, and that's the one thing too, as we're getting ready to go, and I need another coffee or I'm going to die.
This guy, you cannot rein him in. This is the Tom Kelly show, folks. TikToking away. I'm lucky to just focus on one thing at a time. This guy can multitask. Look at him. He can do his Kegels. He's got pictures spotting him behind him.
So, but being real for a minute here is, I think part of what I do need to learn how to focus a bit more. That's a very valid piece of criticism, and we'll see where it all goes. That's a very, very valid piece of criticism.
No, I didn't mean it like
no,
that.
but I don't take it as critical criticism. I do take it as it's a place I am trying to grow.
I can't multitask, so I have to be happy with that. You don't want me multitasking, trust me.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I do have to get going.
All right.
I think you do too. Can I end on a deep note?
Yes, please.
That Ashley sent us in my TikTok. Be you, and she capitalizes you. Be you. I'm gonna, be you. We all have roles we are put in, but who you are at your core is the one we want. And the problem is I think I have a couple of different cores, and it's trying to get them all to melt together. Because I do like telling jokes. Like I've been calling myself on the Tom Kelly Show podcast. Inappropriate Oprah.
Ooh, well, when you came on here, it used to be my show. Right now, I think it's yours. But when you came on, I was like, who really is he? And I did not want to buck. I wanted to let you run the show so we would get to the essence of who you are. And I think we're touching on it.
So, real question. What you have been here for an hour. What do you think of me? Who is Tom Kelly from your perspective?
Tom Kelly's super intelligent, articulate. I saw you on Gladys's show a couple of times. You're hilarious. Everything you say in your bio on your tomkelly.com page is absolutely true. You are so funny. Back-to-back jokes. But deep down, who are you? I want to know more. You leave me wanting to know more about who you really are.
Well, and on that,
I want you back. When you were ready to uncover layers, I want to hear more of who you are.
And then Ashley's telling me I need to reset and stop the podcast because I'm not on everybody's pages. I think, honestly, Ashley, I'm happy to have just you in here for a bit. I think, honestly, Ashley, I think we're going to wind down. And I think, to be honest with you, I want to know more too. And I'll let you know when I have the answer. And I think that's the fun thing about the podcast. And I think that's the fun thing about my social media, Ashley. If you're the only one here and you want to follow, let's make the meaningful connection instead of the millions of connections, which is, the meaningful connection is I'm trying to figure out who I am too. When I do the podcast, it's a little more like me talking to space. I mean, I could show Ashley it's hard to move, but it'll be like I look out into space. I try to broadcast from places that are exciting and whatnot. And it's about me discovering myself. And what I'm trying to do is use the excuse of having a podcast to talk to people that you would not normally talk to. So let's face it. You're in Vegas. I'm in New York. Unless I saw you at the comic strip, I would never want to call you and you me. No, it sounds stupid, but I think I have found talking to you. I have found talking to you very valuable today for me. I can't wait to, maybe I'll steal some bits of it. Ashley's asking us, how lonely is that feeling of talking into space? And I think when I'm doing a podcast by myself, which my mentor, Jeanette Barber, was telling me to do, like I went through stages. Stage one of the podcast was, let's just talk for an hour to any idiot who'll listen. Then stage two was Jeanette's like, you need to do 50 shows by yourself.
Wow.
And I'm like, that'll take a year to get good. So I started doing the show 5 days a week, and I cut her number from 50 down to 20.
Wow.
Because I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do 50 shows by myself. There's not that much demand. So I got used to talking into space. And I think that's something all comedians and human beings need to get comfortable with, is how lonely is that feeling of talking into space? And I think in life, whether it be God, whether it be the memory of an old friend or the spirits of people who have traveled with you on the journey, but we're all in space alone. What do you have to do to get rid of that loneliness? And that podcast has been a good exercise in that. The podcast has also been a great exercise in, now I'm going back to what I'm calling phase 3, which is using the podcast as an excuse to make new connections. Like, to your point, Joe Firestone is a woman who will have her own TV show one day, if she doesn't already. And a podcast was a great way for me to benefit from some of her wisdom. I also had a great musician on, Sammy Ray was her name, of Sammy Ray and the Friends. And both Sammy Ray and Joe this week gave me a great piece of advice that nobody else was giving me, which was that they were talented women admitting that they had not created anything during the pandemic. That Sammy Ray felt that when she was writing in her apartment in Brooklyn, that everything was sad songs, and she doesn't want to be the sad song musician. Joe Firestone felt going back to that class was like getting back to the basics of comedy and being around people who just want to do comedy.
She did so much. Maybe she doesn't feel like she created much, but I'm telling you, she energized people in the last stages of their lives.
Oh, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know Joe Firestone one-on-one, but I have no doubt that that woman has energized people's lives. And I have no doubt that woman has done more than she will admit that she has done. She's just one of those talented people that won't admit she's a talented person.
Yes, absolutely. She doesn't like to get compliments, I hear, but she's been so nice to me. She's amazing. And I think Good Timing is going to be a hit. And I think Helene Witt and BB, a couple of people in that show are going to be breakout stars, Tom.
So did you see it? Did you see the documentary yet?
Yes.
And again, I don't know if it's a home, I want to be careful of it. I think it's a must see.
A must see.
It's a must see. Now, is it the best thing ever? Is it Citizen Kane? No. Is it Godfather 1 and 2? No. But it's a very useful hour. And I teared up at the end. I learned something about something. So 11:15, I have talked your ear off longer than any. I don't know if I'm your best podcast, but I got a feeling I'm your longest.
I think that you're my most interesting guest yet. And I want you back.
I'm more interesting than Connie Chung.
And I'm going to go and listen to more of your podcasts and share the ones that I really enjoy. And I really thank you for taking time and coming on and spending time with me and me getting to know you.
And you know what? I enjoyed getting to know you, man. And I enjoyed what you brought out of me. You do have a very disarming way of making conversation. And I want to thank you for having me as a part of it.
Thank you so much, Tom Kelly. Now you can go tell people it was boring.
Listen to my podcast and you're going to realize this was pretty damn lively. All right. I'm ending the TikTok live first. Hang on. Let me end the TikTok live. TikTok friends, go hang on, stay here for a minute. Where are you, by the way, Linda? You tell everybody where you are.
I'm in Las Vegas, right by the stratosphere.
And then should they find you on social media or forget about it?
No, find me on social media. I want you to go to my YouTube, comedian Linda Marcus Smith, and do whatever you got to do to make me more popular. I worked my tail off. And
then for me, I am Tom Kelly Show across the board on social media. I'm trying to do 2 TikToks a day, but the last couple are they have 5 likes and I'm better than 5 fucking likes, people. I really am. God damn it. They're better than 5 likes. So let me know if you guys got time.
Thank you so
If
much.
you got time,
Tom.
watch my TikToks and like my TikToks, people. And maybe I'll do more live. Give me some tips. Email me the tips, whatever you got to do. Well, you gave me one about doing the lives that I should have reset it. But we'll talk more about that. You know what? DM me, Ashley, Nicole, Spew, and everybody else. I'm out of here.
This is the strangest interview I've ever had, talking to all your social media.
Well, to your point, and now I don't know how to end a live. How do you end a TikTok live? Oh my God.
I turned off my phone.
Yeah, I should have, but I didn't. Wait, flip camera. How do I end a live? Oh my gosh, this is so painful. Oh, there we go. Going live. No, I don't want to go live with another host. And now. All right. And done.
The people you meet when you do interviews.
Well, I do think, listen, what's interesting with all this stuff is, I don't know, it's interesting technology. Listen, the world is changing, man.
It is.
The world is changing. Where do you want to take it?
We're here for the ride. We have to keep, I think older people, I'm not meaning you, but it's really helping us to be less racist, less in our own head. I mean, all this technology is making us better humans, believe it or not.
I think it can when used properly. So listen, I'm going to hang up now. You got my info, and I am delighted and honored to have been on your show.
Yes, thank you so much. I have enjoyed it to the nth degree.
All right, I got a feeling we're going to be typing to each other at 4 a.m. soon enough. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye.